Just a little to your
My name is Herb Carpenter. I'm the commander of the Mars VFW Post 7505.
just a little.
I want to recognize the Gold Star family members first. Nancy Fennell, family of Walter Edward Barnes. We have an Evelyn Bump, Mary Jean Double, and Teresa A. Guthrie, family of Thomas Russell Kistner. We have Robert J. Klingensmith, brother of Clyde Klingensmith. Would you like to stand to be recognized? Thank you. Honor to all the veterans of the Vietnam War. Honor to the residents in Butler VA Medical Facility in attendance. Salute to all veterans in attendance. Salute to the veterans of Southern Butler County. And a salute to the VA Security and Butler City Police Law Enforcement. Welcome to all present. This AVTT wall, traveling wall, is a mission of honor, respect, remembrance of our fallen, and serving men and women in uniform for those without the means to travel to our great national memorial. Give it the respect it is earned, and remember that the entire area is a non-smoking area. If there is something laid by a family member of that near the wall, please don't pick it up, leave it there. The wall, the Vietnam veteran came up with the idea. Jan Scruggs was an infantry corporal who wanted a place to accommodate all those who served and sacrificed their lives in Vietnam. The wall was designed by a college student. Her name is Maya Ying Ling, and she was an undergraduate of Yale University at the time. It took less than 8 months to build the memorial. The site's groundbreaking took place on March 26, 1982, and the wall was completed by late October. The wall was dedicated on November 13, 1982. The wall is made of black granite from Bangalore, India. It is one of only 3 places that you can find a large amount of black granite. No federal funds were needed to create the memorial. The Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund raised nearly $9 million through private contributions. There are currently 58,479 names on the wall. The names are arranged by the date of their casualty. More than half of the people listed on the wall are under 22. The largest age group was made up of 19-year-olds. The names of 8 women are on the wall. They were the ones that nursed the wounded. The number killed on the first day in Vietnam was 997. By comparison, 1,448 soldiers were killed on the last day in Vietnam. The day the most casualties was January 31st, 1968. There were 245 lives lost that day. Now I'd like to present the national anthem. It will be sung by Heather Kissinger. All rise. Those that can.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. We'll have the invocation. Jean Bradshaw, Chaplain of Mars.
Uncover. O thou Almighty God, guide these men and women we honor through every day and night. Give them unbounded strength and courage to continue their efforts for lasting peace. Make their victory a true service to all humanity. Give them growing faith in thy teachings. Make them thy chosen servants to carry out forever a victorious crusade against all evil forces, seeking to destroy that which is just and good in the hearts of men. Help them to bring brotherly love to all lands. Bless and comfort those whom they have left bereaved. Because it is through us, the living, rather to be dedicated here to unfinished work, which they who fought have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that may these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth and freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. And finally, O God, help us to increase our spiritual unity and our love for all. In reverent humility, we ask these blessings. Amen.
Cover. We're going to have a POW missing MIA ceremony will be followed by the folding of the flag. Mary Jean?
My name is Mary Jean Kadire, and I represent the Mars VFW Post 7505 and its auxiliary. We are here today to present the POW-MIA ceremony along with volunteers and members of several other auxiliaries. Please, no applause during or after the service. At every formal military dining in or out, there is a small table set up to honor our POWs and MIAs. This is the dialogue for this very touching ceremony. Those who have served and those currently serving in the uniformed services of the United States are ever mindful that the sweetness of enduring peace has always been tainted by the bitterness of personal sacrifice. We are compelled to never forget that while we enjoy our daily pleasures, there are others who have endured and may still be enduring the agonies of pain, deprivation, and imprisonment. Now, we pause to recognize our POWs and MIAs. Please notice a small table here in a place of honor. It will be set for one. This table is our way of symbolizing the act that members of our profession of arms are missing from our midst. They are commonly called POWs or MIAs. We call them brothers. They are unable to be with us today, and so we remember them. The table is round to show our everlasting concern for our missing men and women. Remember. Bell, please. This table is being set, and it is small because it symbolizes the frailty of one prisoner against his oppressors. Remember. This tablecloth is white. It symbolizes the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms. Remember. Single rose is displayed in a vase to remind us of the families and loved ones of our comrades in arms who keep faith awaiting their return. Remember. The red ribbon tied so prominently on the vase is reminiscent of the red ribbon worn on the lapel and breasts of thousands who bear witness to their unyielding determination to demand a proper accounting for our missing. Remember. A slice of lemon is placed on the bread plate to remind us of their bitter fate. Remember. There is salt upon the bread plate, symbolic of the family's tears as they wait. Remember. The Bible represents the strength gained through faith to sustain those lost from our country, founded as one nation under God. Remember, the glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us today. Remember, the candle is reminiscent of the light of hope, which lives in our hearts to illuminate their way home, away from their captors, to the open arms of a grateful nation. Remember. The chair is empty. They are not here. Remember. Remember all of you who served with them and called them comrades, who depended on their might and aid and relied on them, for surely they have not forsaken you. May God forever watch over them and protect them and their families.
Now we'll have the flag ceremony. As the flag is folded, for each fold, recite the following. Fold 1. The 13 stripes represent the 13 original states: Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Georgia, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maryland, South Carolina, New Hampshire, Virginia, New York, North Carolina, and Rhode Island. Fold 2, the 50 states represents our 50 United States of America. Fold 3, I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. Patrick Henry. Fold 4. There are times that no men's soul, the summer soldier and the sunshine patriot, will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country. But he that stands it now deserves the love and thanks of all men and women. Thomas Paine. Fold 5. For we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Declaration of Independence. Fold 6. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do attain and establish the Constitution of the United States of America. The United States Constitution. Fold 7. Congress shall make no laws respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or the press, or the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievance. First Amendment. Fold 8. The basis of our political system is the right of the people to make and attain their constitution of government. George Washington. Fold 9. My God, have little to do with countrymen, known that precious blessings that are possessed of and which no other people on earth enjoy. Thomas Jefferson. Fold 10. 407 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new union conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Abraham Lincoln. Fold 11. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free. The riches refuse of teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Emma Loreza. Inscriptions of the Statue of Liberty. Fold 12. Ask not what you can do for your country, but what you can, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
I'd like to read the names of the 43 Butler County people that were killed in Vietnam. Please forgive me if I misspell a name or mispronounce a name. Nervous. Thomas Eugene Sayovich. Bell. Douglas Vern Andre. Charles Frederick Stetson Fan. Alan George Lane. William Frederick Winters. Francis Claire Rommel. Luciano Paul Plezovic. James Thomas Steiner. Harold Eugene Morrow. Robert Charles Leonberg. Ronald Eugene Jerwick. Raymond Patrick Link. William L. Lesnick. Clyde Walter Klingensmith. Joseph George Kalski. Glenn Robert Bali. Thomas Russell Kistner. Martin W. Walkowski. Stephen William Ziegler. John James McElroy. Paul Stacco Jr. Joseph Clarence Dole. Gary Dwayne Reed. Walter Anthony Ciccone. William Roger Campbell. Charles William Seath. Donald Ray Burnside. Walter Edward Barnes. Richard Dennis Coyle. Gary Richard George. Edward Thomas Kiowski. Gerald Wayne Shakely. Richard Harry Williams. James Robert Couch. Robert Lee Gasca. Paul Edward Anks. James Albert Bailey. Thomas Ralph Berline. Kenneth Allen Barger. David Hughes Smith. Merle Dwayne Brown. Edward Francis Hastley. Martin McLean Miller. I'd like to present our speaker today, Rocky Blyer. Rocky was born in Appleton, Wisconsin in 1946 and attended Appletown Xavier High School, where he learned hard lessons and succeeded to become a college football scholarship player. Rocky successfully played football, becoming the starting halfback for the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Rocky graduated from Notre Dame in 1968. Rocky's toughness caught the eye of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he was drafted in 1968 at the pick 417 in the 16th round. Despite his low draft position, Rocky was determined to show all that he could make it. Rocky compensated for his lack of size and speed with grit, determination, and made the Steeler team in 1968. His career in pro football was cut short before the Steelers season ended in 1968 by a second draft in the United States Army. Rocky entered the U.S. Army in 1968 as a specialist, Company C, 4th Battalion, 31st Infantry Regiment, 196th Infantry Brigade. He was posted to the Republic of Vietnam, where he was badly wounded when his platoon was ambushed and received wounds from both grenade and rifle fire in his lower right leg. It took a long time before he was barely able to walk, and his Steeler career seemed over when the doctors told him he would never play football again. While recovering in a Japanese hospital, he received a mailing from Art Rooney, the Steelers owner. It read, "Rock, the team's not doing well. We need you." Rock was now so inspired that Mr. Rooney would take the time to write and show interest in him. Mr. Rooney and the Steelers took a special place in his heart. Mr. Rooney lit the fire in Rocky that drove him and determination to prove the doctors wrong. Rocky was discharged from the U.S. Army in 1970 with a Bronze Star, Purple Heart, and the coveted Combat Infantry Badge. Determined to return to the game he loved, with sheer courage, determination, and drive, Rocky overcame all his obstacles and fought his way back. And after informal workouts with the Steelers in 1970, these informal workouts led to his winning the starting halfback position on arguably the best professional football team ever assembled, the Pittsburgh Steelers of the 1970s that won 4 Super Bowls. An example for all, Rocky the veteran has become a role model and icon in Pittsburgh for all, especially suffering from adversities. Please join me in welcoming the Rock, Rocky Bleier.
Thanks. Hey, Herb, thanks. Thank you very much. And indeed, it's a pleasure for me to be able to be here, be a part of this closing ceremony on this wall that has come here to Butler. To all the gold mothers that are here, to family, to veterans, and to you, ladies and gentlemen, for being a part of this. It's my pleasure to be able to join you for what I think is one of the greatest memorials that we have in this country, and that's the Vietnam Veteran Memorial and the traveling wall that we see here. You know, part of the story I was going to relate to, that Herb had made mention, was that fact that that postcard that I had received from Mr. Rooney at times of need when things weren't going well. And you know, two simple sentences: the team needs you, you know, and we need you back. I thought was a great gesture on the part, because what it really created was a sense of hope and an opportunity that somebody cared about you as a person. And that opportunity becomes very important. So we live in a country of opportunities, be able to move forward, but more importantly, in the creation of hope. What goes on over the past 3-4 days here, and especially with this wall, is just that simple thought that what we've created in our society is a sense of hope. Those names that are etched on that wall are simply that, a sense of hope for the future. Loved ones that we have lost, friends that have departed, have all become a part of us. In 2012, and I say this, in 2012, the Department of Defense established a committee to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War, which will go until 2025. But it was really the Vietnam War period, established by the Department of Defense for those who had served our country from 1955 to 1975. 55 was the first time that we had sent advisors to Vietnam. 75, obviously, when we withdrew. But during that period of time, 9 million men and women served in that period, of which today, 7 million are still alive. Now, it was established to be able to thank the American people for their commitment and their sacrifice, to be able to thank our allies for the support, to be able to thank and not forget the POWs and the MIAs, but more importantly, to be able to thank you as Vietnam veterans for the service that you've given to this country. Now, the Vietnam veteran era was really established from 1961 to 1975, in which 3.5 million of us served during that period of time. And it's really thanking you, the families, for what we have sacrificed during that war and what we have today. This wall, as I had made mention, is our memorial. And it didn't come easy. It took Jan Scruggs 8 years to be able to raise the money, to fight Congress, to find a spot, to be able to bring to the public the need of a memorial for our veterans and for that war. But like the war, it wasn't popular, this memorial. It was called the Big Black Gash of Shame, if you may recall. It was designed by a person of Asian descent, Maya Lin, controversy. But yet it has become one of the most popular memorials in Washington, D.C. And it's become a wall of healing for those who've lost loved ones, and a remembrance for us of what took place during that period of time. Those we fought with, those friends, those we went to high school with, those family members that gave their ultimate sacrifice in their lives to a war that was not popular, to a war that left a lot of us and a piece of us back in Vietnam. But it is our wall, and it's a wall, as I said, of healing. I can remember the first time that I was in DC, and I had taken my kids, all those many years ago, right after it was opened, to visit that wall. And it was really an amazing transition for those who've ever had that, who've had the experience of going there, because it was a hot summer day in June, July, as I recall. Oh, and the kids were tired and were dragging, and saw all the memorials. And they didn't want to walk anymore, and when can we go back to the hotel, and can I get some ice cream, can I do all this? And they're whining and crying, and we came to the top of the wall, and people were all over, and I was somewhat embarrassed because I had these brats, that didn't appreciate what we had gone through. And so I said, no, we got to go and we got to walk. Now, they didn't have a sense of what this wall was, except that it was a memorial, and Dad had fought in Vietnam. And so as we started to go down the walk, and as we got towards the middle, all of a sudden, there was this silence. No one told them to be quiet. No one told them to mind their own business. But all of a sudden, it was the power of that wall, of what took place, that they were somewhat changed in awe of what had taken place. Because it's a constant reminder. If you see every name that is on that wall, it's a personal reminder of the sacrifice that had taken place. Just not a monument, but really a personal touch of what we lost during that period of time. But it's ours. For you see, each and every one of those 58,417 names that are on that wall are one of us, really, are really one of us, you and me. But as we had left that war and came back, we all came back injured, whether it be physically, emotionally, and we have our wounds in which we have to heal. And ultimately, when it was over, those 4 or 5 years after I was there, and I thought upon myself, we would never do this again, would we? I mean, we, as an American people, we'd never do this again. Maybe that was our mission as Vietnam veterans, to stop this kind of insanity. I mean, the 58,000 Americans that had died, 58,000 like each and every one of us. But unluckier by an inch, half inch, a millimeter of breath, 58,000 who had died, and so many more that were injured and continue to be injured from that war. We wouldn't do that again. But lessons we have not learned. But it's a reminder for us. And as I pay tribute to these names that are on this wall as we are here, because it's really all of us. So, as a Vietnam veteran, in serving our country, we have come, if you think about it, from the four corners of this great land, from the north and the south and the east and the west. And we're dispersed to I, 2, 3, and 4 Corps. From the DMZ to the Delta, from Cambodia and Thailand to the coastal shore. And we wore the patches of the Americal, the 25th, the Big Red 1, the 82nd, 101st, representing the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines. We were private, non-coms, and officers. We walked point, humped the monkey on our back, and bitched about the food. Now we worked the big guns, the mortars, and the M60s, and flew support and fighters and gunships and C-130s. We would patrol not only the rivers of the Mekong, but also the streets of Saigon and Long Ben and Da Nang and Chu Lai. And we belonged to the MPs and S&Ts and intelligence, and we were in finance, communication, and personnel. We cared for the wounded and sent the dead home in body bags. In that era, as I had said before, we were 3.5 million strong. Now we laughed, we cried, and we were afraid to die. We lost family, friends, and loved ones. We were bored, waited for care packages, and sent love letters home. We look forward to R&R, rotation, and becoming civilians once again. Now we left one battlefield only to face another, and we fought for our dignity. And we went back to making a living, and we became writers, and doctors, and lawyers, and musicians. We went back to the farmlands and the factories, and we worked our way up the corporate ladder, became elected officials. We married or remained single, and got separated or divorced, but we raised our families, and we moved on. Our experience changed us. We either copped out or we coped. And for those who survived, we worked hard and made it. And now that we have come of age, we're the ones who feed this nation and care for the sick, and we're the ones who own the factories and make the country's decisions, and we paid a price. So be proud, not only as Americans, but also as Vietnam veterans, because we deserve it. You did good. God bless.
Thank you.
And enjoy.
Thank you, Rocky, for that insight. It's very inspiring. At this time, we'd like to have the Band of Marines retire the colors, followed by a firing detail and taps. Everybody rise. This concludes the final AVTT Traveling Wall ceremony. The Traveling Wall will remain open for visitors until 12 noon today. At that time, the visit of the Traveling Wall in Butler County for 217 will conclude. The Butler County American Legion Riders thank you for your attendance and to honor the fallen heroes of the wall. Thank you all.